Hey everyone, welcome back to the Collector's Compass, the official podcast of Collectors MD, where we explore the intersection of collecting, mental wellness, and responsible engagement in the hobby. I'm your host, Alex Efron, founder of Collectors MD, and today's episode is one I've been looking forward to for the last couple of weeks. We talk to collectors, creators, and even shop owners, but we've never really gone behind the scenes to hear from the perspective of a spouse or a partner of a collector. So joining me today is Ambre LaVanway. She is a collector, she's a storyteller, and she is the wife of our good friend and community member, Travis LaVanway, also known as Montana Norseman on Instagram. Travis joined us back in episode 8 and shared his incredible journey through collecting, recovery, and rediscovering purpose after his Army service. But today, we're hearing the other side of that story, the view from the spouse, what it's like to love and live with a collector, to support someone navigating compulsion, and to rebuild connection and balance together. Ambre is also a collector in her own right. Her approaching to collecting and the meaning she's found through it has resonated deeply across our community. Her daily reflection, titled A Shift in Perspective, we will be publishing tomorrow, includes one of my favorite lines: "Not everything that sparkles is valuable." Ambre, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. Awesome. So let's start from the top. You've been part of the collecting world for years. You and I connected earlier this week just so I could learn a little bit about you and your journey. But, your journey looks a little different, I think, from most. You collected high-end anime figures. I just had to ask you what a comic bust was, which you explained to me, and limited pieces before eventually refocusing on what really brought you joy. So what was that sort of turning point when you realized the chase had stopped feeling fun?
The chase stopped feeling fun when it became a financial burden. When I was looking forward more to buying this statuette of an anime character in a risque position than eating dinner. And that's bad. Like it was really bad. I literally chose for weeks to save money up for a action figure, and it literally cost me about 50 pounds to do so because I didn't eat at all. Like, I wouldn't eat
Wow.
at work. I would save every penny I could just to get it. And when I realized I had that problem, I knew I had to stop. I had to figure out where my breaking point was, if I was going to continue to destroy my health to get what I wanted, or if I was going to find a balance in it.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that comes up a lot in our weekly meetings and through any sort of addiction. People end up prioritizing the chase, the dopamine highs, the rush over essentials like, keeping yourself nourished or looking out for your loved ones or, making sure you have a roof over your head, like the very bare minimum essentials. Right. And so I think it's powerful that you were able to sort of see that and acknowledge that there was a problem and make the necessary changes in order to get yourself healthy. So going to your daily reflection, which, our viewers and listeners that are tuning in today haven't read yet, but of course I've read it. You said the quote that I just cited earlier, which is, "Not everything that sparkles is valuable." Can you talk about what that meant to you in that moment and what shifted for you emotionally?
For me, it's it's like the song Glitter by Jelly Roll when he says not everything that glitters is gold. It's basically, I realized that everything I was chasing after wasn't going to go with me in the end. Like, when I pass on, is it going to stay with me and go in the ground? No, it's not. It's going to go off somewhere. It's probably going to get broken, or it'll become extremely valuable, one of the two, but it's not going to go with me. So what is the point of chasing that, knowing that it's not going to come with me, and it's only valuable to me because beauty lies in the eye of the beholder? And to me, it was everything, but to the next person it could be, oh cool, thanks, and it gets broken by their cat.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things where, you just have to be really, really careful when it comes to what you're buying, what you're chasing after, what you're collecting. At the end of the day, you want to buy things or collect things that serve you, not other people, not the internet, right? So I agree. I think that line definitely resonates. There's actually a track by Jelly Roll called Winning Streak.
Mhm.
It's funny you brought up Jelly Roll, because I was actually just talking to a group on Tuesday night about this at the facility I work at, Right Choice Recovery, and I lead group meetings there for gambling addiction, right? And so this
Mhm.
this came up. I'm not a huge Jelly Roll fan or anything, but I came across this track recently, and it's called Winning Streak, and it's all about alcohol addiction, right? And his experience going to AA meetings and having to face the man in the mirror. And so it really resonates with me, and I kind of listen to it through the lens of my own addiction. And a lot of it, there's just so many parallels and one-to-ones. Obviously, you can't compare alcohol addiction to gambling addiction per se, sort of apples to oranges. But there are a lot of synergies just in terms of what people go through and what the road to recovery looks like. So I recommend for those listening, check out some of Jelly Roll's music. He definitely is super passionate and emotional. His lyrics really speak to people. So that's an interesting thought. We don't really usually talk about music too often on this show or at Collectors MD in general, but the reason why that came up on Tuesday night is because I was trying something new called music therapy, where we basically go around the room and talk about an artist or a genre or maybe a specific album or track that helps sort of lift us up, especially when we're in our lowest of lows. And it is amazing how much sort of inspiration and strength we can get through the art of music, right? I think there are a lot of similarities between music and collecting as it pertains to, passion. So much of what you're describing, right? Stepping back, simplifying, finding joy again, especially in your daily reflection, feels sort of universal, right? I think a lot of us have been in that space where collecting sort of stopped feeling like collecting and started feeling like pressure, right? So
Mhm.
what has helped you reconnect with joy and meaning?
What helped me reconnect was finding someone like my husband who enjoyed collecting and didn't sit there and pressure me to buy this to try to chase this item or buy this for this item specifically that's in it. It was, hey, I want to try my luck. Is it okay? And he would support me in it.
Yeah.
And that brought the joy for me back into it because it was me getting to choose and not someone choosing for me. Not the world trying to say, "Hey, this is what you should do." It was him saying, "Hey, do what you want."
Right. And there was another piece that you brought up here in the daily reflection. I know I keep referring to it. I thought it was such a beautiful piece. It was so well written. And I'll just read this paragraph. You say, now when I encounter a truly remarkable piece, I allow myself to simply appreciate its beauty, free from the urge to acquire every coveted item I come across. Instead, my greatest satisfaction comes from seeing the joy on my loved ones' faces when they find the cards or collectibles they've been searching for. In this way, collecting has evolved for me. It is no longer just a hobby centered on personal gain, but a passion I now embrace by sharing in the happiness of others. And I think that was just so well written, and carries a lot of power. I think when you start opening up your eyes to more than just your own personal gain from things like collecting and spending, it really can help you shift into sort of a more positive mindset, right? And that's just so important, right? Like
Mhm.
life is all about shared experiences, especially with your loved ones. And so by being able to, sort of take a step back, focus less on your personal collection or your personal gain, and focus more so on, the satisfaction that you get from seeing your loved ones, your family members, faces light up. Like that's what it's all about. So I really appreciated that, and I again think that it just sort of embodies everything that we do, we share, and we're trying to convey at Collectors MD. So we're going to transition over to our second segment. It's called
Okay.
Loving a Collector, Boundaries, Balance, and Early Red Flags. So let's talk a little bit about life on the other side of the shelf, what it's like being married to a collector.
Mm.
So when did you first start to notice that collecting for Travis maybe was becoming a little bit heavier, a little bit of a distraction in unhealthy ways?
Mm.
Were there any sort of early warning signs there?
When I found out I was pregnant with our daughter, Thora, the early flags I noticed was he wanted to make sure we had the money to take care of her and to get her everything she needed. And he started going to card shows. Everyone that would pop up, he would go to it, and he was always stopping at a card shop before, after work, maybe even during lunch. I'm not sure what he did during lunch because I wasn't with him, but he was always at the card shop, and people were constantly in his ear. Oh, well, this card is worth this much money. Could you just imagine hitting it? And he would only talk about hitting that card, getting that card, and then if it popped up and there was a bid for it and he would go to bid for it and lost, he would get upset because he would feel like he did something stupid.
Right.
And that would break my heart. Like, it broke my heart hard.
Yeah, those are tough moments, to see somebody you care so deeply about struggling, but also to not just be frustrated, resentful, angry, but feel sad, heartbroken in a sense. That true feeling of empathy and sympathy, I
Mhm.
think is really really important, because quite often we see spouses in our community, spouses of those that are struggling with addiction, start by just sort of reacting how most people would, right? They get angry, they
Mhm.
get resentful, they start, pointing fingers and saying, like, how could you do this? Why would you do that? Rather than taking a step back and maybe approaching it in a little bit of a more neutral uh, tone or position, uh, to sort of allow for the person that's struggling um, to feel comfortable or feel like they can confide in you, or feel like, all right, like they're being understanding, they're being empathetic. How can I, or now I feel a little bit less on the defense. I feel like I'm going to be less sort of combative and reactive to this person yelling at me or getting angry, and maybe be more inclined to uh, explore and ideate around ways to overcome the struggles. So I think that's really amazing. And I think it's such an honest perspective. Again, I think a lot of partners just feel sort of torn between wanting to support the passion and needing to protect the household as well, even if the collecting hasn't gotten completely out of control. Right. So I'm curious, how did you navigate that? That sort of supporting without becoming the bad guy.
I just told him if it's what he wanted to do, then I stood behind him. I supported him, and no matter what, I wasn't leaving his side. I married him for better, for worse, and I meant it. I'm not going to be one of those girls that's like, oh, you have an addiction now. Okay, bye. No, that's not me.
Yeah.
He married me. He's the only one. So he's stuck here.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. Again, we're not necessarily saying that people who run into these situations, people in your position who come into these situations where they married somebody and then, like, a couple years later or down the line, they develop an addiction or something insidious that could potentially jeopardize the marriage. It's normal for people to sort of run the other way when they realize, man, this is not the person I signed up to be with, right? But
Right.
also just taking a more neutral tone, and also honoring the fact that, like, for better or for worse, like, this is what you signed up for. It really can go a long way, I think, in the growth and development of not just each one of you individually, but like your relationship, your marriage as a whole. Because when you get to the other end of the uh sort of struggle or challenge that you're facing, you're only going to come out that much stronger, and you'll be able to sort of, you know, take on whatever life throws at you, especially if you've gone through something as heavy as that. So once you both started working toward balance, what do you think helped? Like, what practical things actually worked for you two? Was it like budgets, cooling off periods, maybe like certain rules, like no late night buying, or making
Well,
purchases without like talking first? Like, what kept things healthy without feeling restrictive?
baby luck. Okay, so hear me out, okay? So if we were say we were on Whatnot and we were in a stream and we were trying to win something, he'd look at me and be like, should we do it? And I'd be like, hold on, let's ask the baby. If she kicks twice, it's a yes. If she kicks once, it's a no. And I'd put my hands on my stomach and I'd be like, okay, baby, what do you want to do? Should we do it? And if there was one kick, nothing happened. If there were multiple rapid fire kicks, do it. We hit some pretty major hits with baby luck. Like
Interesting.
it was insane. Like I got a Jason Dominguez card, his rookie downtown first print. That was off sheer baby luck because I asked the tummy. I was like, should I do it? She rapid fired, so I did it, and I pulled the card out and I was like, oh, this is pretty. And everyone in the shop was like, no, you didn't. I said, baby luck.
That's such an interesting perspective because, you know, again, like most wives would be like, this is this is a hobby that you can't partake in anymore. You've developed unhealthy habits. You are doing things that made me upset. And rather than taking that approach, you kind of joined in on the fun a little bit, maybe to be that guiding light in a way to prevent him from sort of going over the edge. You know, it's kind of like putting up the bumpers when you go bowling. I went bowling last weekend with my niece and nephew, and we have these bumpers at Lucky Strike that go up and down depending on who's up. And they put them up for the kids. My wife was like, you know, I want them up for me, but she ended up doing them without the bumpers. Anyway, I digress. The point is, you, I think, in a way, acted as like, you know, bumpers on a bowling lane for Travis, right?
Yeah.
And so rather than like taking him away from the game completely and saying you can't bowl anymore, you just put up some bumpers, you put up some guardrails so he could continue his passion, what he loves to do, but in a more meaningful and healthy way, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the best analogy in the world, but I think it gets the point across.
It works.
It works. I only thought of that again because we just went bowling on Saturday, this past Saturday. So it was top of mind. All right. So we're going to transition over to segment 3, which is what you're calling the murder shelf, the personal shelf, and finding meaning. Okay. So I've talked to you about your collection. You know, and again, for those that are listening, Ambre isn't just the wife of a collector. She is a collector herself, which I think is really awesome. And so because this is unlike anything I've personally seen in the hobby, you know, I'd be remiss not to bring it up, right? You've got what you call the murder shelf, which despite the name, I think has real emotional depth behind it, right? So tell us what inspired that. Why do you collect figures and cards tied to sort of controversial or even flawed people?
Well, it started because of a Facebook group. Me and my friends joined this Facebook group a couple of years back. The group is no more because someone reported it and Facebook did what Facebook does and takes down all the fun stuff. And in this group, it was people who collected memorabilia of serial killers. And I was like, you know, that's cool, but I think I could collect something better. And then I started looking through news articles and noticed a theme year after year after year. There's a lot of famous people in sports who get in trouble for the craziest things, and then you never see them in sports again, anywhere, on anything.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
canceled.
I'm going to collect those guys. I'm going to collect everyone who got canceled for doing something they probably shouldn't have been doing. Like, for example, I have a 101 Franco Wonder. We all know what Franco did.
Wander Franco, you mean?
Yeah.
That's all right. Well,
we all know what he did.
I necessarily agree with that one. Like, I don't know. I guess like a crime is a crime, right? And
right.
It's what you're talking about is like fascinating. And it's not about like glorifying criminals or darkness or anything like that. I think it's about sort
It's
of
my little
empathy.
version of their Hall of Fame since they'll never get to see
Yeah.
it.
It's sort of understanding like imperfection, right? It's kind of like a reflection of humanity in a way, right? Like, yeah, these
Because,
people are bad. Like
but
OJ,
just like
Simpson,
regular
for
people, they
instance,
make the same mistakes.
they make the same mistakes. Look, we're not, endorsing or getting behind some of these, actions by
No.
some
We
of
do
these
not endorse
athletes.
the actions,
But
but they
I
do
get
have
it,
pretty
right?
cards.
I get it. Like people, I'll make a comparison. Like people love the show Dexter, right? Dexter
Yeah,
is a vigilante, but he, at the end of the day, like he's committing crime after crime. He's murdering people that fall through the cracks in the system, right?
right,
And so, people love that. People love him. Look at like somebody like Ted Bundy. He had like a
right.
cult following, right? Like
And he
you
was
aren't
the
a bad
perfect neighbor.
person. Yeah. You aren't a bad person if like you're a part of that cult following per se, but it is like a very sort of polarizing topic. I do think that it's there's nothing wrong with sort of collecting bad guys per se, right? Like look at like Marvel, right? Like
Right.
Thor.
I have bad
Or
guy
not
cards
Thor,
from
what's his name?
Marvel.
Thanos.
I've
Thanos
got
is
some
like,
Doc Ock cards.
there you go. Like some of the, most notorious evil characters in the history of superheroes are some of the most collected and some of the most coveted, right?
They
Like,
are.
and then, movies even, look at like,
I've got Q from Star Trek.
yeah, I was
He's
going to
one of
say
the
like,
biggest
look at
bad
like,
guys.
Jason or, Freddy Krueger or the Scream mask. I mean, people dress up and impersonate these people for Halloween. I actually heard that Art the Clown from Terrifier, which is like one of the most vulgar movie series of all time, if not the most vulgar. And I haven't personally seen it, but I have
I
seen
have.
scenes. That is the number one best-selling costume in America for Halloween. Isn't that
It
crazy?
is.
But like at the same time, like that's
Yeah.
people love horror, they love darkness, they love, and
Like
it's not like a means to like support it or say like murder or like any of these
when
horrific
the,
acts are a good thing or like giving it a pass or anything like that.
you know who Kane Hodder is, right? Jason
What's that?
Voorhees. You
Who
know who Kane Hodder is, right? Jason Voorhees.
who
He
who's that?
Kane Hodder, he's one of the main actors for the horror guy Jason Voorhees.
Oh, okay.
If you meet him at one of his meet and greets at a Comic-Con and you sign a waiver, he will pick you up by your throat. But you have to sign the waiver.
You have to sign the waiver. Interesting.
But he does the Jason pickup and he holds you for like 10 seconds and then he puts you down.
Yeah, I'm sure he's so strong he can like position his arm in a way that he isn't strangling you or like creating any physical harm. He probably is able to,
He just lifts you from your chin, well, your jaw basically.
Right. I don't know if he'd be able to lift me up, but that that is
There's
great.
more females in his line than there are guys, so that
I'm
makes
sure,
it funny.
sure. Yeah, interesting. All right, so I want to get over to the personal shelf, which I think is more of the softer side with pieces that symbolize things like peace, growth, milestones. So what pieces from those shelves hold the most meaning to you, and what do they say about where you are now in your life?
Well, there's one piece in particular. It's called the Imperfect Perfection. My husband had it made for me for one of our anniversaries. And it's a card that has a picture of him, me, my oldest daughter, and the daughter that we had together. And it is by far my favoriteest piece because Ian McKinson or Kesson, I believe is how you say his name, is the one who drew it. He did artwork for Clone Wars, I believe it was.
Wow.
And he had never drawn faces that small before on a card. So that was a first for him. And the card means a lot to me because I didn't know it was being made. And when he presented it to me, I was like, the necklace I got you is nothing compared to this. This is epic.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty amazing. You showed it
I
to me the
also
other day, and that's great work, Travis. Well done.
I also have these other pieces that he's surprised me with. It's gold money, but basically I have Sailor Moon dollars that are in Japanese money. I don't know what the actual currency is called. But then I've also got Bulbasaur dollars or
Cool.
yen. This is 100,000 yen, and it's 24 karat gold, and it's literally Pokemon themed.
That's super cool. I've never seen anything like that.
And I have all the evolutions for Bulbasaur. I have Ivy and Vina,
Very cool. See, like,
and I
see
collect a lot of money.
what you're showing right now, I think, is a great example of collecting with intention, right? You collect what you like, what makes you happy, what brings a smile to your face, what resonates with you, not what the internet tells you to buy, or not what the breakers and the social media influencers saying this is what you need to get and it's a great investment, this, that, the other. Like, you're buying things because they make you happy. They bring value to your life in more ways than just financial gain. And I think that's
Yeah.
really powerful. Awesome. So we're going to transition to our next segment, which is marriage, mental health, and navigating compulsion together. So you've been really open about the reality of marriage, especially when one partner is dealing with, trauma, compulsion, financial stress. And you and Travis have walked through a lot together.
Yes.
The love that you have for each other is undeniable. Travis, speaks wonders about you and has, basically said right on the show that you saved his life, and he adores you, and I could tell that you adore him back. So I think that's just such a beautiful thing. True love in this world is hard to come by, and the fact that you guys found each other and I think are soulmates is just such a beautiful thing. So what helps you guys sort of stay grounded through all of these ups and downs, especially given the fact that Travis is a disabled Army veteran? Like, he is retired at an early age, and he has gone through way more than most people should ever have to go through or will ever go through in the entirety of a lifetime.
Well, what helps keep me grounded through all of it is the fact that I do have a nursing degree, so I know how to help him in his times of need, like if he ends up having an episode because of his brain injury, or if he has a panic attack, I know what to do because I've been trained for it.
Mm-hmm.
And what keeps him grounded, and he tells me this all the time, is that I'm what keeps him grounded. So me being there and being solid for him, being his ride or die 24/7 is what keeps him here. And me knowing what to do is what keeps me grounded, because if I didn't know what to do, then I would probably lose my mind.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's great. I mean, obviously having like a little bit of a clinical background and understanding of how to help people is major, but I also think that it takes a lot of resilience and patience for a human being to have to endure what you've endured as the partner of somebody who's experienced so much trauma. Um, Again, it's an amazing thing, and I'm proud to be able to sort of spotlight you and Travis, because you're two people that I just think embody everything that we are trying to convey with Collectors MD, right? It's all about support, accountability, change, growth. These are things that we talk about every single day, and you guys live it. So I really respect that. So when things maybe started to get a little bit tense, whether financially or emotionally, how did you approach those sort of conversations? And was there like a certain tone, maybe language or timing, that helped avoid things like shame or defensiveness?
Honestly, I'm a very blunt person, so if it bothered me or upset me, I was very straightforward about it with him, and if that upset him, I would sit down with him and we would talk about why my bluntness upset him, and what about he was doing, and what about the situation that was going on had me upset for me to be as rough and rugged as I was with how blunt that I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes tough love is what you need uh, in order to convey what you're trying to get across. And I think if you and look, I'm not like a therapist or, uh, you know, a marriage counselor or anything like that. So I'm just saying this from my own perspective, my own experiences. Um, but again, like it feels like you and Travis sort of have your own love language, so to
Ye-
speak. Like you guys understand each other, and rather than Travis getting defensive or combative or um, you know, sort of gaslighting, which a lot of couples do, or a lot of individuals do in relationships and marriage, you know, he respects what you have to say, whether that's blunt, whether you know you're coming to him in an empathetic sort of approach and being a little bit softer. Like he takes it on the chin and he's like, you know, I get it. Like you're my other half and you're saying these things because you care about me. You want me to get better, or you want us to get better, right? At the end of the day, you guys are a unit, you're a team. And so um yeah, I think that's really great. So you've said before that it shifted from sort of control, right, to teamwork. I love that. How did that mindset change things for both of you?
Honestly, it made it fun again because when it was controlled, like the passion was just gone for it. And then once it became fun again, the passion for it came back. And once you can learn to let go of the control and to just do what makes you happy, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And financially, you end up saving so much money.
Yep. I think you took a really, really smart approach. I mean, you obviously have done these things through your own intuition, and I'm sure a lot of the decisions you've made have sort of been gut decisions where you're just like sort of following your heart. But nonetheless, like I think that the approach is admirable. I think it's a template that can be used or served for those couples that have, you know, gone through traumatic times together and are trying to get out the other end. So just glad again that we've been able to spotlight this and put your conversation on sort of a platform for people to listen to. And again, like I said in the beginning of the episode, for those listening, Ambre's husband, Travis LaVanway, is a cornerstone of the Collectors MD community. We brought him on episode 8 of the Collectors Compass, so you can always go back and watch that episode, listen to, I think, the 2-hour conversation we had with Travis. We really unpacked a lot of great things. Okay, so now with both of you being part of the Collectors MD community, I'm curious what that means for you. And what does having a space like this do for couples trying to rebuild trust and communication?
It means to me it means the world because it gives my husband a safe place to share his experiences and to make new friends, and for him to be able to have friends that understand what he's gone through and what it's like to go through the exact same thing when it comes to the addiction of collecting and the collector's hobby. It means a lot because a lot of people don't like talking about it, but the ones who do like talking about it end up making friends for life.
I appreciate you saying that. And Travis has been, again, such an important part of what we're doing. He attends every single meeting. I mean, last night was our 25th consecutive meeting, and he said that he was running errands and he probably wasn't going to be able to make it. We had a relatively small group last night. I think it was around 15 people compared to the, 25, 30 plus that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. So I actually dropped a text in the group chat and I was like, hey, where is everyone? Like, and I'm sure people are just busy and they have priorities, and I get it. So,
I was video gaming.
yeah, it's tough to get everybody to join every week, but Travis saw that text. I'm sure this is why, but he ended up joining about 30 minutes in, and he contributed right away. And yeah, he's just been such a special part of what we're doing and so supportive. And it's interesting because Travis didn't seek Collectors MD through, an experience that he felt like he needed support, or he needed to explore recovery or recovery like community or program or anything like that. He actually just commented on, I think it was our second giveaway, And the purpose of that giveaway was to um, basically look for people that are collecting with intent and carry that mantra and mindset in their collecting journeys. And he was one of two individuals that we picked based on his response. And ever since, he's just been so active in our community, and I think that's just amazing.
He
Uh,
talks about the community all the time. He absolutely adores it.
yeah, that means so much. Like I've talked to a lot of people about this, but before I launched Collectors MD this past March and got into this sort of world, this field of um, things like mental health, addiction, recovery, etc. I was in advertising sales, and I had a pretty stable career. I was doing pretty well for myself, all things considered, and it was rewarding in a lot of ways, but it didn't bring me the same joy, the same passion, the same satisfaction that I think what these last sort of 7, 8 months have brought me. And that's, being able to make an impact in other people's lives in a positive way, right? Uh,
Right.
I am a recovering addict myself. I've talked at great length about that, both on this show and on other podcasts, in daily reflections, on social media. Ever since launching Collectors MD, I sort of wear my heart on my sleeve, right? So people understand that, and through my lived experiences, I think I'm able to sort of connect with and resonate with certain people more so than maybe even a clinician or trained licensed therapist might be able to. And so even if it's just like a handful of people that I'm impacting, it's like such a rewarding feeling compared to anything else I've ever done. And the amount of gratification or the amount of validation and support I've received in such a short time is leaps and bounds compared to that, what I received during a 12, 13-year career in sales and marketing, right?
Right.
And, at the end of the day, like I was selling pixels, right? I was selling print ads in a magazine or a newspaper. Like I wasn't saving lives or I wasn't curing cancer. And I'm not saying I'm doing that now, but again, just the opportunity to help people in a positive way, even if it's just a small handful, is just, so empowering and just means so much to me. And I'm so glad that I'm doing this now. So with that, we'll transition over to our next segment. Okay, so next segment is recovery culture, change, and real guardrails. So at Collectors MD, we often talk about two recovery lanes. That's abstinence and intention. For some, that means stepping away completely. For others, it means continuing to collect with structure. So how did you and Travis find your lane?
We found ours literally through baby luck. Like, if it hadn't have been for me thinking of what would Thora think about this and how can this be put towards her future, then we probably wouldn't be where we are today, to be honest.
So family is everything,
Yes.
when you have, I don't have kids yet, but I've seen firsthand how having children can transform people in unimaginable ways. And so I love that, you use that as your answer. I think, having children, having a baby is a beautiful thing. And, obviously shapes the decisions you make, especially as it relates to purchasing decisions and how you collect and what you spend, right? There's another human
Right.
being in your life now that you have to look out for. And so I love that expression, baby luck. I think it's really funny that you sort of use the one kick, two kick to decide on certain things. Because sometimes in life, like you don't know which path to go down. You don't know which decision to make. And so it's like you can either randomly pick, you can flip a coin, or you can ask the baby, right? So
Right. And what was really great is if she didn't kick, it was like, oh, that means you have to get me food.
exactly. Awesome. So, for couples listening who maybe are in the thick of it, right? And there are many that are a part of our community that currently are, what are some guardrails that you think actually help? Like things like, spending caps or shared PC lists where, the person who's collecting is being open and transparent with everything that they've purchased or that they own and the associated value, etc. Or even like maybe like a 24-hour cool off period where it's like no devices. We're not going to use the apps and we're going to hold each other accountable. What sort of has worked for you two?
Well, for me and Travis, pretty we pick on each other, honestly. Like, for me and Travis, we will literally sit there and we will pick on each other straight up. Like, if he starts getting really excited about something, then I'll start getting overly excited for it. And he'll just look at me and be like, really? It's like, this is what you're acting like. So yeah, really, let's do this.
Love that. You can just see it in your sort of body language and how your face lights up when you talk about Travis, just how beautiful your bond is. So again, I don't want to sound like a broken record or cliche, but again, it truly is just admirable how much you two support one another and care about each other. So you've also said you wish the hobby included partners, right?
Right.
What could things like shops or creators or platforms do differently to make partners feel part of the journey instead of outsiders, right? Because like you're unique in that you also are a collector, so you kind of get it. But like for those that maybe aren't into collecting or don't understand sports cards or comic books or art or sneakers or any of these things, what is some advice to those people also? Like, so
Do some research. Honestly, just do some research on what gets them excited. Like, ask them questions and then go back and look that stuff up, because the more you know about what makes them excited, the more excited you can get for them being excited, which will get them even more excited and keep them happy, which will keep you happy. And then you don't have a bad life. Because as the old saying goes, happy wife, happy life.
100%. What's the property in mathematics? The transitive property. If A equals B, then B equals C, then A equals C. I feel like just outline that and use the word excited a lot and happy, which you clearly are. So, but also in addition to that, what do you think like some of these shops and platforms and again, like influencers, creators do differently to welcome in partners and make them feel more a part of the experience?
Well, for example, on Whatnot, if Travis is in one of the live streams on there, like say with Nerd is one of his favorite streamers on there, and they talk a lot. And I'll pop into the stream sometimes on his phone and be like, "It's me," and be like, "Hi, this, hi, that. Is this who's playing in the background?" And Nerd will interact with me completely, like I'm always there, but I hardly ever show up in the lives. I just like to steal his phone and say hi every now and then.
Right. So what you're saying is basically for these creators to make an effort to have a relationship with
Mhm.
the whole family, right? As
Yeah,
opposed to just the person that's handing over the money, right?
right.
Invite the family to things like card shows or trade nights or baseball games, whatever the case may be. Don't just focus on the individual, make it about everybody, right? Try
Exactly.
to have a relationship with the loved one. And I think the reason why the platforms and card shops don't do that is probably because they know that a lot of the behavior that goes on, the partner wouldn't approve, right? Like
Right.
how many partners would, let's just say we did like a sample case study or we took a sample size and we asked 1,000 wives, would you be okay with your husband spending $1,000 a week on sports cards? My guess is that 99% of those people would say no. Obviously, everybody's financial circumstances are different, and $1,000 to one couple might not be the same to another, right? If you're mega rich and $1,000 is just a,
And then you've got the 1% that's like, if it makes them happy, let them do it.
yeah. But still, I think creators, not creators, but shops and breakers are a little bit wary to bring the wife or bring the family into the conversation, because they know that, if you peel back the curtain all the way, they're probably not going to be too happy with what's going on,
Right.
So again, that's just more reason to be open, honest, transparent with your partner, with your spouse. Bring them into the hobby, bring them into your passion, whatever that is, whatever is bringing you joy, and give them full sight lines. I think that's everything, and it'll make your life easier, it'll make their life easier. You won't have to be constantly walking.
And there's ways you can make it fun. Like there's lots of ways you can make the hobby fun too, to make your spouse want to get into it. Like, I'm a Dolphins fan. Waddle is my guy. And like I told you when we were talking, anytime I receive a card of his that has memorabilia in it, I sniff it. I sniff it hard.
I'm a Dolphins fan.
But it makes everyone laugh, and that makes me happy. So
I'm a Dolphins fan, and I own a signed Jalen Waddle jersey that I got years back, I think when he was a rookie, as a gift, actually. And I can confidently say that I've never sniffed it, but nonetheless, no judgment.
I sniffed mine.
I know Jalen is the man. I'm glad that he's still a Dolphin, because not all of the Dolphins receivers are fully committed to the team.
But he's committed, and he's never let me down. Anytime I put him on one of my leagues, one of my fantasy leagues, he's never let me down. He's always shined.
I love that. Yeah, Tyreek Hill, see you later. He wanted out. He was waving goodbye to the fans when he got carted off after that horrific injury a couple weeks ago. He didn't even look like he was phased. He was just like relieved that he didn't have to wear it.
It was like he didn't have to come back, and he knew it.
Yeah, exactly. He had an excuse to not come back to work. But yeah, I feel bad for Tua. The poor guy's just been
can't catch a break.
Yeah, but I still think, like, I'm still a huge fan of his. I still think he's got a lot of talent, and hopefully they figure it out. Whether that be
he's got potential, they just got to figure out how to stop hurting him.
Exactly. Protect the quarterback, by all means necessary. Same thing. Protect the collector by all means necessary.
Exactly.
All right. So, awesome. One last question on this topic. On a bigger level, what do you think culture change looks like? If you could redesign sort of the on-ramp for new collectors, what values would you start with?
That's a good question. So the values I would start with is I would start with things that make me happy. It doesn't matter what makes the internet happy. It doesn't matter what makes the world happy. It doesn't matter if it makes your mom and dad happy. It matters if it makes you happy. Are you buying this for yourself, or are you buying this for your fans, your followers, or are you buying it for the clout? Because you have to know which direction you're going to go with it. If you don't know the direction you're going to go with it, then you're just going to fizzle out completely, and you're not going to like it anymore. You're going to hate it. You're going to resent it. You're going to want to walk away from it. But if you can figure out the avenue you want to take with it, like with me, I have my murder shelf, and it makes me completely happy. Is it a weird icebreaker? Yes, it is. But does it work? Yes, it does.
Really well said. I love that. All right, we're going to transition over to our final segment, which is reflections, advice, and then our infamous rapid fire round. So before we wrap, I want to give you a chance to speak directly to other wives out there, other partners, other spouses, the ones who love a collector but maybe feel lost watching them struggle. What would you tell them?
Don't give up. Trust me, I know it's hard. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coasters of should I make pancakes or should I smother somebody? But I promise you, you want to make the pancakes because in the end, it's 1,000% worth it if you can stick by their side because the addiction only lasts for a while. The addiction fades, it doesn't stay forever. And if you can stick with them through that hard part, then you know you were meant to make it. And I want everyone who's a collector's wife and a collector themselves to make it in this world because the collection world is a hard world. It's either you swim on the top with the most expensive stuff and make everybody ooh and ah at you, or you're down here at the bottom with me with a murder shelf and it makes you happy.
Well said, Ambre. Appreciate that. All right, a few more questions, then we'll get into the rapid fire. What does collecting with intention mean to you now after everything you've lived through?
Well, for me, it means a place of peace and a place where I can express myself. So when my youngest is older, I can explain to her why I chose to put these people on this shelf and these over on this shelf. It's a way for me to have a connection with her now for when she's older. It just, in the beginning, it was for people to like me, for clout, for all the wrong reasons. And now it's for my own pure happiness.
That's beautiful. Really well said. Um, at the end of the day, we say at Collectors MD, we have to look out for the next generation and the generation after that. That's what's the most important. They are the ones that sort of look up to us and mirror what we do. They mirror our actions. And if we're not holding ourselves accountable, how are they going to hold themselves accountable? So that's really important. Really well said. And yeah, let's get over to the rapid fire round. So I'm gonna ask you 7 questions. All you have to do is just answer the first thing that comes to mind. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Your favorite bad boy collectible and why?
Aaron Hernandez, because he did the crime, but he couldn't do the time, so he went out the cheap way.
Oh boy. We'll table that for another day. One piece you'll never sell.
My imperfect perfection piece because it has a part of my heart connected to it.
Love that. One rule you'd impose on breaking apps tomorrow.
On what tomorrow?
Breaking apps like Whatnot and Fanatics where people open packs.
Just because they say it can be in there doesn't mean it's going to be in there.
Yeah.
Just because it glitters does not mean it's gold.
Yeah. So basically just disclaimers, warning signs. Hey, you're buying cards. This is not a direct opportunity to profit.
Well exactly.
A mantra that keeps you grounded.
A mantra that keeps me grounded. I say this every day when I wake up. I've said it probably for the past 23 years. All that is holy, all that is divine. Listen to me at this time. I am what makes the world shine.
That's amazing. A message to a partner who feels alone in this.
You're not alone. I'm here. I got your back.
Love that. And we'll share Ambre's Instagram information so you can reach out to her shortly. 2 more questions. One mindset shift every new collector should hear.
When collecting stops being fun and you notice it becomes depressing, that's when you need to take the step back to look at what makes you happy in the world of collecting. Because if it doesn't make you happy, sell it.
Perfectly said. And lastly, why community and not secrecy as the best antidote?
It takes a village. 100%. They tell you it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to help someone who has an addiction. And in a collector's community, you have more than just a village. You have an entire township of people that are there to help you walk through your problems and to give you advice. If one's not there that you want to talk to, there's another one who can help you.
You said it so perfectly. That was so eloquent. It does take a village. We absolutely can't heal alone. because isolation keeps us trapped in our own patterns and perspectives, right? And this is
Right.
something we talk about all the time at Collectors MD. In recovery, whether from compulsion, addiction, or emotional pain, our minds can be both the problem and the echo chamber, right? If we're
Right.
left alone in isolation, those same thoughts that drove us into the spiral often convince us that we're fine or that change is impossible. So, community sort of helps break that cycle. It gives us shared perspective, holds you accountable, allows you to stay connected. And so when we hear someone else describe the same emotions that we've buried, that we are afraid to share with the world or share with our loved ones, things like shame, regret, fear, it reminds us we're not broken or unique in our struggle. There are other people out there that are experiencing exactly what we're going through. And so when we say those things out loud in a safe group, they lose their power over us, right?
Right.
So healing happens in community. It takes a village, like you said. We regulate through other people. We learn by seeing ourselves in someone else's story. We grow because somebody else is listening, and we listen because someone grows. And so that's why community isn't just supportive. It's absolutely essential. It's the bridge between awareness and action, and it's where courage becomes contagious. So with that, Ambre, thank you so much again for joining us today. Your honesty and empathy give a voice to a side of collecting that's rarely discussed, but so deeply needed. So for everyone listening, you can connect with Ambre on Instagram. It's MZ Napalm. So that's Ms. Napalm underscore most dot hated. So I'll just spell it out one more time and it'll be in the description below, but that's MZNAPALM underscore MOST period HATED. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Awesome. And of course, follow her husband, Travis, at Montana Norseman. That's Montana Norseman, one word. We'll drop that in the description as well to see all of the amazing work they're both doing in and beyond the hobby. And as always, if you or someone you know is struggling with compulsion or burnout, we invite you to join our Collectors MD peer support group. That's every Wednesday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific. It's free, it's confidential, and it's open to anyone who needs a safe space to share and get support. And also make sure to subscribe to Collectors MD on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and all major platforms. You'll also find more episodes of the Collectors Compass, Behind the Breaks, and Collectors MD features, all created to keep these conversations alive. With that, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Collectors Compass. Remember, collect with intention, not compulsion. We'll see you next time.